It's just this huge revelation. I feel like I'm like a little diamond in the rough here that I was like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I could do this. Like, I'm a businesswoman. Wow. And it's all literally thanks to you and my husband who pushed me to do it. But really, I credit you 100%.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today is kind of a dual episode. It is another episode of our installment, our segment we call In Their Words, which, as you've probably heard me say before, really my favorite segments that we do. Because we're going to hear from FranCoach clients who have become franchise owners. We're going to talk all about their background, what led them to consider franchise ownership, how they navigated the process, which franchise they chose, and how it's gone so far. But this is also part of our March spotlight on women in franchising. And while in the past we have focused on seasoned franchise professionals, just these absolute amazing women, they've been in franchising for a while. This one, we wanted to focus on a brand new female franchise rock star to show the path that you can take. Yes, some of the ones we've talked to have been in this industry for a long time. But what is it like for somebody brand new in this who is going to be amazing? So I wanted to share this story as well. And today's guest is one of the most positive, upbeat, and just genuinely good people I've had a pleasure to work with. Her journey is a bit different than a lot of other franchise owners. And quite honestly, I think it's inspiring. So that's coming up next. But first, a quick reminder of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals like yourself interested in owning a franchise. We're partnered with over 600 brands spanning 70 plus industries. Number one goal is to help properly educate you on franchise ownership to determine if you should own one. If so, we're going to find your best fit. That's a little bit about us. Now let's get to our guest. And we are back with our very special, super duper special guest joining us this week on the Franchising 101 podcast, Trudy Flores Reibling. Trudy, thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I am excited to chat with you. I am also a little selfishly a little sad. Do you know why I'm a little sad, Trudy?
No, I don't.
Because I'm very spoiled. I get to work with smart, successful, amazing people. Then through this entire process for months, and then they sign a franchise agreement. Then you know what happens? They break up with me. Right. Yep. Deuces, they're out and they're like on to the next thing. So I feel like this, like you're going to do the same. But I get one last little like Trudy moment with me. So excited to have you come on and certainly share all of your journey. So really thanks for hopping on here today.
Thank you. I believe when we started this journey at some point, I did tell you that it was one of my goals for next year to be on the Franchising 101 podcast. So this is kind of like a little dream come true. Very excited to be here.
Nice. Well, we probably need to work on your goal setting to set them up just a little bit higher. But
it's pretty high. It's pretty high.
At least you checked one off. So give us a little pre-franchise scoop here on Trudy.
Okay. Well, background in general, grew up in Mexico, moved to the US, have had a variety of different jobs. One of them was at Penny with Twists, which is a franchise. Another one was with Orange Theory Fitness, also a franchise. So I do have a little bit of familiarity with the concept and following the manual and dealing with corporate, etc., the onboarding process, training. At the time, I never thought that I would own my own franchise. That was not even a thought or, anything that I was looking into. Fast forward many years later, I have a really great husband, and I have my own small business, but I was looking for more. And he's like, why don't you open a business? And because my background was more in teaching, et cetera, I'm like, I don't know anything about business. So I did what everybody does. So I went on Spotify and I looked up a podcast on how to open a business. And you are the first person that popped up. So I went down the rabbit hole of Franchising 101. I think I showed you my list. I have it right here of all of the Franchising 101 episodes that I listened to, walking my dogs and being, home, and just realized that franchising was the model that was perfect and right for me. So then I contacted you, and here we are.
Yeah, and do we remember, like, and on your notes, your note taking skills are like, you should do a seminar on note taking and penmanship, as you were showing me earlier. But you listen, like, how many did you listen to before you finally reached out?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 podcasts before I reached out.
Okay.
And
that's actually quick.
Yeah. Well, I was like, now or never, I actually, so I listened to your podcast. I talked to my brother who's also in business, and he said, I don't know anything about franchising, but what I can tell you about business is, like, do it now. Like, he was like, you won't regret it. If anything, you will regret. It's always kind of like, gosh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Right. And he's like, do it now. Just go for it. I'm like, why not? What do you have to lose? Nothing. If anything, I learned something. I figure out that it's not for me. But I think I started with secrets to finding your franchise match, which was episode 211. I even wrote down the episode numbers, Tim.
Oh my gosh, good. I'm going to make you our hype man for this. So excellent. So, but no, and I think it's like that advice that you got and you mentioned was like kind of what our whole process is like, hey, let's just properly educate you on this. Maybe it's not for you. And let's be honest, most people, it's not for them at this particular moment. Doesn't mean it won't be down the road, but maybe it is. And so we get going, we kind of go through some of the process, we build out what you're looking for, and we come back and we've got, I think, 4 franchises we started with right off the bat. Do you remember kind of what that experience was like? Okay, here's the big, here's the big reveal of the brands. Right, exactly. And I always tell people, hey, there's a good chance you're going to think I'm nuts with one of them. But do you remember what that feeling was like, and kind of what went through your mind at that point?
Well, I was super excited because I just wanted to hear kind of, I'm going to say, or see what your interpretation of what I had conveyed to you as, like, what type of business owner I want to be, what type of clients do I want to have, or customers and employees and everything. So that was excellent. And honestly, the best person to tell you this is going to be my husband, because he will tell you that you were, and he says this to everybody that we share this story to. And I think I've told you before that he likes to say that you listened so well, and you really heard me. And the 4 options that you gave were perfectly tailored to my personality, to my needs. Like, ultimately, I really could have picked any of those 4 different franchises and would have been happy. There wasn't really one. I mean, there was one that was like, okay, maybe, but it was still suited to me and my life and my experience. So it was very exciting. It's like, oh, well, yeah. And I also love that what you said was the only thing that you have to do is call them. Like, just give them one call, I give them one chance, and, like, learn about it. And I also have the notes of every call that I took with all of those people. Yeah.
No, and we had an interesting mix, because we had 2 things that are traditional brick and mortar, 2 things that were not. And usually in that situation, like, even if somebody's kind of leaning one way, right? There we go. Look at it. We've got things underlined and highlighted. Yes. Fantastic. I would hold up my iPad so you could read my notes, but you couldn't read my handwriting. So, but it kind of, and again, your openness was amazing to just, again, you embrace the process. Let's learn like it's just a little time, let's learn something new. But there were the two non-retail ones for you. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
great to see, but it really kind of confirmed, hey, you like a physical place for you to be
Yes.
able to go, right?
Yeah.
And then we kind of got down to two, and I don't know if you remember this because this is something I wrote down when we introduced you to those four. I almost always do this just kind of for fun, but rank them, right?
Yeah.
The one that you now own, do you remember where it ranked at the beginning?
No, let me check my notes. I don't know it.
Number
Maybe second?
it was yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which sometimes, I mean, and I say this and I don't know if people believe it or not, but I'm like, a lot of times it's the one people like the least on that call.
Yeah.
But it's rarely the thing that they like the most at that call. So but we get into this a little bit farther, and let's go ahead and do our big reveal. You are now officially the franchise owner of which franchise?
Drum roll, Sky Zone Trampoline Park.
Okay. And in franchising, I always say, like, we ain't too bright, so it's usually pretty obvious what that is. But Sky Zone Trampoline Park is, let's put you on the spot. What's your 30-second elevator pitch on Sky Zone?
Sky Zone. Now you put me on the spot
I
here.
know.
I haven't read that part of the manual yet.
Does it have something to do with trampolines, perhaps?
Yes, it is. Basically, indoor family entertainment. They are the first and oldest trampoline park franchise in the United States. They've been in business for 20 years. They actually invented the trampoline park. It started with dodgeball, trampoline dodgeball. So that's how it started. And it has morphed into this amazing business that really they focus on fun, exercise, getting kids off of screens, which is kind of a big one,
Right.
But also making it more of an experience for families, not just the kids, but also for the parents to take 90 minutes away from the busyness and go and have fun. Obviously have a great experience, clean place, very clean, high standards. And yeah, place that you want to keep coming back to because you had a great time jumping it out and having a great time with your family and friends.
Yeah, and getting the kids off the screen is important. Sometimes getting the parents off their butts also, and getting out. And this is, if anybody out there has ever been to a trampoline park that's not Sky Zone, like, yeah, okay, it's just this boring little thing. Sky Zone's not messing around. There's a lot of different things in there and activities. And I think one of the favorite things, and we'll come back to this in a second, but when you went out to the last stage and you went to meet the team day, discovery day, those terms are interchangeable, but you don't just go to Sky Zone and see the office, you go experience it, right? And some of they take some pictures, whether you guys knew it or not, but there's one literally like you're going down this slide thing and then into the air, into the pit of all the foam or whatever, and the massive, and it wasn't just you because I saw a couple others, the massive smiles on these grown ass adults in there just having an absolute blast was really pretty cool to see.
It was one of those days that I like to refer to as a big smile day because you're just smiling all day. And then at the end of the day, you're like, my face hurts from literally my cheeks are sore from smiling so much. It was so fun. And I was told before, actually, we went to Discovery Day, like that people are watching, right? Because we're judging the corporate people, if you will, the franchisors, but they're watching us too, and they're making sure that we're trying all this stuff and having fun and not being like sticks in the mud. But my husband and I are fun people anyway, so and he just went down every slide, and it was just so much fun. It was great.
They had to drag you guys out of there at the end of the day. Like, come on, we still have some work to do.
But believe it or not, we could keep talking forever. So yes, they were really like, okay, bye. Like we all got to go to other meetings.
Right. Excellent. What was some of the things as you went through the process with Sky Zone that for you as a business model really kind of hit home for you that you knew it was the right place?
Well, one where we live, we're kind of in Ponte Vedra, kind of southern Jacksonville. There aren't that many indoor family entertainment amenities around here. So for years, my husband and I are like, oh, we've talked about opening a trampoline park or something of that type of business. Never thinking that we were actually going to do it, but it's like, oh, we could really use this business or that business. Right. We're always kind of driving around and thinking about ideas. And so there is a definite need where we live. And with Sky Zone, again, what I really liked about it, well, I do have 3 stepkids, so I have been to all of the trampoline parks here in Jacksonville. And I'm very familiar with, kind of like, oh, their stuff is broken. I wouldn't use that bathroom. I don't want to sit on this dingy sofa that has like duct tape on it. It smells like feet. I mean, like I'm always watching all of those things.
Sounds like my house, Trudy.
Well, I if the shoe fits, that's all I got to say. I didn't say anything, right? But the standards, especially because I know our community, the standards for Sky Zone as a business and how it's operated are very high. And so I know the types of people that will be coming to our business, and I know that I'm going to be able to uphold those standards. And again, just everybody seemed very helpful and willing. They have a lot of systems because they've been around for so long. They do have a lot of systems to check your business to make sure that you're moving in the right direction. If you're financially not doing well, they're going to bring somebody in and check it, whatever your employees or like, where is the money going? Like, why are you not making as much money, et cetera. So there's a lot of support there for sure that I also really like about it.
Yeah. And speaking of support, one of the things, especially for a brick and mortar franchise opportunity that can be a little bit intimidating is like, oh, we need a location, right? Yeah. And not just need a location, but we've got to find the best one. How do we know it's the best location? And then do all of the negotiation on the lease, the tenant improvements, the build out, all of those things. That can be overwhelming because yes, we may have, bought a house or, got an apartment back in the day and signed a lease, but this isn't that, right? Hardly anybody out there has done all of those things from a commercial real estate standpoint. I know that can be a little overwhelming. And we had talked about this during the process. What did you learn during the process about their support? And now what's your experience been already, even early on as an owner, for that real estate support? Hey folks, would you be interested in owning a franchise that has been cooking up something special since 1941? A brand with nearly 1,000 locations around the globe, yet still tons of opportunity for expansion. A brand that, despite its size and age, is still a family-run business with strong values. If so, I got one for you. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. Dickey's is a fast casual franchise that is different from everyone else in that space, as it is less about fast or casual and more about amazing food and a great customer experience. With a smaller footprint and easier build out than most food concepts, Dickey's has an affordable investment, so it is a fantastic option for someone who loves great food, wants a business with a family feel, a well-known name brand, and tons of support. If this sounds like what you've been looking for, then go to dickeys.com to learn more and get cooking on your better tomorrow.
So real estate for us is going to be, I will say, the biggest challenge. I think for most people, but for us especially because we need a very large space. So we are looking for ideally a 35,000 square foot building, which if you think about it, it's like the size of a Bed Bath & Beyond.
Right.
So it's massive. So finding that is daunting. With Sky Zone, they do partner with CBRE, which is one of the largest commercial real estate brokerages in the United States. They have U.S. man, kind of like a main U.S. guy. Then there is kind of like a Southeast guy. And then they connected us with an actual CBRE person. So there's like 2 Sky Zone people and 1 CBRE person. So far, we've had 2 meetings with them. And we had an excellent meeting yesterday. Fortunately, my husband is also in commercial real estate, not here in Florida, in Jacksonville, and he doesn't do retail. So he knows a lot of this stuff, but he's just not connected to those people. But he has been very impressed with the CBRE guy. He knows everybody here. And he has already presented us with two tentative Bible options, but they have, if we go back their first call, they did explain kind of the process of like finding a site, negotiating a lease, the tenant improvements as you've discussed, everything. They really have everything handled. And I know after we signed the franchise agreement, I was given a very detailed kind of path of this person will be in charge for this phase. And this person is like, you're not going to hear from me right now because you're dealing with these people, but I'm still here. Once you've signed your lease, then you do this. Make sure you're talking to your lender. Like there's just, I have a whole app that I use that they're tracking all of the steps, and there's check marks on all the things that I've done or that are coming up. So they're tracking everything, making sure that everything is going to be done.
Yeah. And they do to keep you on track, but also to make sure, because it's overwhelming, right? The franchises, they do this for a living. You're like, this isn't their first rodeo, bringing somebody on, but it's yours. And it's like checklist for the checklist sometimes, I think, right? But like, have you found that? Because it's one thing, again, at the beginning, oh yeah, we're going to support you, Trudy, all this stuff. Have you found that even more reassuring now that you've gotten into it and you've like maybe overwhelmed with the list and all the stuff, but does that help you sleep at night knowing you have that level of support?
Yeah, for sure. Right now in this very specific phase, it's a little kind of like hurry up and wait. Yeah. So real estate just takes a long time, and there was a little, we had our first meeting, and then the next meeting wasn't for like 3 weeks because there was people were on vacation. Then there was a family emergency, and we were like here just kind of like tap tap tap, like all right. But then yesterday, the broker from CBRE was like, I talked to this person, I talked to this person. So they're doing their job, right? So I feel very confident. Then I got my manual, even though it's manual from last year, we still printed it out. We have a business plan also that they sent us for us to fill in, which we're working also with our lender to get all of that stuff together. So there's things that we're working on, and a lot of support that we're getting through. Yeah.
Awesome. Good. And you and I've talked about this a bunch, and this is why I know you'll be successful. It's just like, it's hard, I think, sometimes for people that are really smart individuals, which is basically everybody we talk to, like yourself. You almost have to turn your brain off a little bit and be dumb and just like, don't overthink it. If they're saying do this, this, and this in that order, like nod up and down and go, yes. Right. And so, and I think your background, or maybe let me flip this to a question. Your background, you talked about working at a couple franchises, right? You weren't, you didn't own them, but you worked them. You saw the inner workings of the operation. Like, how much, if any, has that helped, you think, prepare you for now being in that owner seat for your franchise?
Well, I still talk to the owners of Painting with a Twist, and one is a brother and sister, and so I've talked to them about my experience, and they're just very excited about it because they've owned Painting with a Twist for over 12 years now. And they're still very happy, etc. And with both Painting with a Twist and with Orange Theory, with one of them, like even though I was with one, I was just an artist, etc. But I did a lot of stuff, corporate training, etc. And with Orange Theory, I was head coach at my studio, so I was in touch with like the regional trainers and did conference, and I had to train my staff on like the standards, etc. So I kind of have an idea of what is expected of me. And I told you before that I'm an ultimate teacher's partner, right? So if, like we said, you have to follow the manual and follow the process. And that's how I am. Like if you teach me how to do something, that's what I'm going to do it, because I'm confident that you're going to know how to do it. Right.
If you're going to spend the money and trust the franchise, then trust the franchise.
Yeah, yeah. And I listen to, obviously a ton of your podcasts, and what I've heard is that when franchises fail is like when the franchisee tries to deviate from the plan, and then things get all wonky. Well, we'll see, but I don't plan on doing that.
Well, and I think you experience this. Most people do when they are going through this journey and they get to the point, the validation calls where you can speak to owners, and usually there's somewhere in there where an owner will be like, well, if I could do this over again, or if I could go back, I would do this differently. They're almost always essentially ratting themselves out of some place where they did deviate, got back on course. So it's like almost like you might be the exception to this rule, but almost everybody at some point is like, I know you told me that, but I'm going to do this. And then you get kicked in the teeth, and then it's like parent child, right? Like, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Don't touch the stove, it's hot. And then all of a sudden, like, they're screaming because they touched the hot stove. Well, I freaking told you not to do it. So, but that piece will serve you really, really well, is that understanding to follow all of that. And then as we went through this from a process standpoint, was there anything in particular that stood out that really kind of surprised you along the way that you weren't expecting?
With Sky Zone or with the process?
Either of them.
Maybe I surprised myself more than anything. That, to be honest with you, and we had many talks with you and also with Chris Gothi, who was my representative with Sky Zone, where you kept telling me and Chris to be more confident, because I remember like, oh, I'm going to go to Discovery Day and I'm going to be with all these big tech guys, because the people that own, like most of the people in the validation calls are like big tech guys that quit their corporate jobs, and then they had all this money and they're like, we're going to open all these Sky Zones. And then here I am like, yeah, we open a franchise. And so you kept telling me to be confident in that I had it in me to run this business. So I think more than anything, I surprised myself. It's been this journey since October that we've been talking. And I just feel like I can conquer the world. Like I honestly feel like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell everybody in Jacksonville that we're opening this business and it's going to be amazing. And I'm going to, I don't know, like be able to like support my family with this business, and like give my husband a little break for him to relax. And I'm going to be like the main person, and he's going to be able to relieve some stress, because his life is very stressful. So I'm very excited about that. So I think surprising was really finding my own potential.
Yeah, it's that, right. And one of the things I think that you talked to a couple of those owners that had big tech backgrounds, right? Maybe weren't going to be the best at relating with the staff, right? Versus where you can really see that, like almost kind of from a mentorship. Some people, like, everybody worries about labor to a certain extent, but you got to find your fit with that. And the thought of, you're going to have a lot of kids working there, right? High school, college kids. But you even talked about like seeing that as an opportunity to really kind of mentor them, have that positive attitude versus, like grumpy old crotchety guy like me in there going, make the popcorn faster or clean this. Like, really kind of take them and have that nurturing effect on them. That excited you where it might scare the heck out of somebody else.
Well, and with that also, another thing that's good about Sky Zone is that they recognize that dealing with Gen Z is challenging, and that's basically our labor force. And they have trainings on how to motivate these kids that are not motivated by money. Right. Basically. So there's a lot of workshops that they have put together and that continue to put together on how to get these high school and college kids to be good at their job, be engaged, et cetera, which is engaging. So there's that one side. The other side that I thought was funny that you mentioned it, that in one of the validation calls, one of the tech guys was saying that it took him a year to get adjusted to working with, essentially not as intelligent people, because he's like, I was in tech. And so I'm dealing with engineers and solving all these complex problems, and then sold his company, gets to Sky Zone, and he's having to deal with teenagers and college kids that are not very smart and not very motivated, and how that was a big shift for him.
Right.
So it's very interesting. And it's all very interesting. And I was a teacher for a little while, so I'm good at, talking to kids and relating, etc.
Yeah, it all goes back to, and there may be somebody out there listening going, "Oh my gosh, that sounds awful." Well, then this isn't for you. That's okay. It really, all of those things kind of factor into ultimately finding that best fit, right? So, and I love how you talked about kind of finding your confidence with this, and because again, like you've got the personality, you know how to lead, you can build relationships. This is a smile, fun, happy business, and like that, you're going to do great with that. So, somebody out there is listening where you were 6, 7, 8 months ago. Maybe I could, maybe I should, I don't know. What might be some advice that you would give somebody out there listening right now that's wondering if this might be a path for them?
Just do it. Like my brother said, just do it. Make the call.
That's a great slogan. Can I trademark that?
I know. We should definitely trademark that. Yeah, just do it. I mean, honestly, but I will say, calling you, or your company, you have nothing to lose. I mean, my mom always said, if there's no asking, you'll get a no. That the worst thing that could happen is you get a no.
Right.
So, like, kind of conquer that fear, and then it's a journey. So why not explore it? Because then you may end up on the other side, like me, and it's just this huge revelation. I feel like I'm like a little diamond in the rough here, that I was like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I could do this. I got my business going. Wow. And it's all literally thanks to you and my husband who pushed me to do it. But really, I credit you 100%.
Well, thank you. But it is you. You took the courage to get on the phone and realize that, like, hey, you can do this. And part of it is too, is like, could you have done the other ones? Yes. Right. Yeah. But there's always one that jumps out, and when you find that perfect thing, it's cheesy, but it just feels like it. So, it will, like, and I know you and I have talked about this, and I've said this numerous times on the podcast. Guess what? Being a business owner, being a franchise owner, it's hard work. Yeah. Stuff's gonna go wrong. But I think one of the biggest traits that honestly we probably don't talk enough about on this podcast or in franchising in general is just a positive attitude. And you have that times 100, and that's going to pay off well for you, because again, stuff's going to go wrong, right? Like, something's going to break, little Timmy's going to be, show up to work and he's sad because his girlfriend dumped him, or like who knows, whatever teenage drama they've got going on. I know when we were that age, we had no issues. We were perfect children, always motivated, always did the right thing, always respectful. I'm old enough that I would have gotten beaten to death had I not been that way, right? But apparently we're not supposed to beat our children anymore, so they've gotten a little spoiled and entitled with that. Soft, but yes. A little soft, exactly. So, but I know you're going to do great with that, and again, I am excited to kick back and watch from the sideline. And when you are open in Jacksonville, my wife and I will make the drive up from Tampa and get our jump on.
Friends and family day for sure.
Yeah, we're not bringing our kids. We want to have fun. So,
okay.
So, but no, Trudy, I can't thank you enough. It's been a pleasure, like, getting to know you and watch your journey. And thank you so much for coming on to chat with us today.
Well, it is an absolute honor. Like I told you, I think the first time when I made the appointment to talk to you, and then I saw that it was you, and then I picked up the phone and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's you. It's the Tim Parameter. Like, this is crazy. So you're amazing. You really have pushed me to get to this place today. So thank you.
My pleasure. And again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you
Thanks.
so much. And we'll see you Summer of 2026, Sky Zone Jacksonville coming soon.
Exactly. I can't wait. Thanks, Trudy.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks so much again to Trudy for joining us. What a great story. And I am incredibly excited to watch her journey. And once they get open, hop up to Jacksonville and do a little jumping around. Hopefully they're playing some House of Pain in there. So a little old person reference for you. We hope her story inspires you and makes you want to kind of explore this a little bit further. If so, we are here for you. It is always francoach.net is where you're going to find me and our team. There's never any fee for our service. Like, we're here to help you figure out if you should own one, and if so, which one. And just like we did with Trudy, help you create your better tomorrow. Next week, we've got another fantastic rock star female franchise professional to share their story with you. Tomorrow or depending on when you listen to this, every Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Biz TV, the Franchising 360 show. We got a pretty cool guest. It's a dude, but like, that's fine. Podcast is for the women. The show's, well, you know what? The show's got a fantastic rock star female franchise professional as well. My co-host and better half, Danielle Wright. So I guess we did cover it. So anyway, tune in there. Until next week here on the Franchising 101 podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.